Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Gibson Show, and this one is going to be a fun one. We're speaking to the one and only Leadr from NaVi ahead of the closed qualifiers in just a few weeks. Leadr, we've spoken before. How does it feel to be back?
It's good. I always enjoy being interviewed by you, so yeah, it's gonna be fun.
You're literally the only person who's ever said that, so I'll take it. I'll take it. So I just kind of want to catch up with you first about what's happened since we spoke last and a little bit more about your career. So for anyone who doesn't know Leadr that well, he came all the way through with that 10-star roster under Kenny and made the move to NaVi just ahead of stage 3. And if I'm not wrong, Leadr, your very first game at the highest level was against Rogue and you popped off. You had one of your famous 1v3, 1v4 clutches. It was a pretty nice way to announce yourself to the tier 1 scene, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like, that was definitely my favorite game of this stage, for sure.
So, I think when a lot of people talk about you, they talk about you as one of those, bomb site demons, particularly on defense. You're a player people back in a 1v3. You're one of those players out there where if things look like they're going wrong, you're the sort of player that can turn it around on its head. And you've done that under the 10-star team, and you've done that under the NaVi roster as well. How difficult has it been to make that adjustment? Because obviously on both rosters, the calls are going to be a little bit different because you're working with different people, different coaches. How have you managed to adapt to tier 1?
I'm not too sure, really. It's just about, like, it's more about yourself than the players around you, like, because as a site player, you've always got to do your best to see if you can help the players around you if they're in tough spots or whatever. And then you can, like, relieve pressure off. If someone's holding a window into sight or something like that, you take the gunfight and you see if you can relieve that pressure for your team so you can help elsewhere. Yeah, it's just mainly about yourself and your positioning.
And does that kind of come natural to you? Like, because obviously you will get calls from your teammates that help, but in those scenarios, when you get into the zone, like, how do you manage to do it time and time again when it comes to your movement and ability to isolate those 1v1s?
I don't know, really. Like, it's just like instinct, but I always try and take as many 1v1s you can, because obviously you're never going to win a 1vx if you're waiting for them to make the move and they push you. You've always got to have the upper hand and give yourself the advantage in every scenario. So.
And overall, are you happy with how your first stage at tier 1 went? And do you see many areas that you can continue to improve over the course of next year?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think I had a good rating, but it could definitely be higher, because I feel like my defense did carry me quite a bit. Attacks where I've got to improve, really, in my opinion. If I improve that, then who knows what can happen.
You say that, but I think it's one of those things that once that case goes down on attack, when you're suddenly in that kind of defender role again, that's your bread and butter. It's people find it really hard to deal with you. So, as I said, your first step of your career has been moving from 10-star to NaVi. And a player like you, I'm sure, had lots of suitors, lots of trials. Like most of the 10-star, most of tier 3 actually at this point have had trials because of how good tier 3 has become. How important was it for you when you were picking NaVi in particular to sign with a roster like that? Because obviously players like you have options. What is it about NaVi that made you want to play for them?
Vibes on the team is everything. If you're not vibing, you're not having fun with your team, then you're not going to play well. That's just how it is. So if I went to a team where I wasn't enjoying it, I wasn't enjoying the people on the team, then I'm not even going to be half the player. I'm going to just have a terrible stage, and then that's it. It's over. So
yeah. Well, I think you and Skitty, the two players that got picked up from tier 3 last year, have made a massive impact, and I think it's a common theme. You look at the likes of what EFAC was able to do whenever he joined from tier 3 as well. I know we'll put Spoit in here, but he didn't really play tier 3, but he kind of went straight into 18. But another essential tier 1 rookie coming in and having a big impact. So there was a bit of an announcement today. We'll release this video. When this video is released, everything will be out in the open and confirmed. But obviously, Nath has gone on and he's made a move to a team that's going to be playing in SI with M&M. And that means that there's a very big hole in your side when you consider what Nath brings to the table. Are you able to tell us who is going to fill that last spot on the roster?
Well, like you said, the announcement will have come out by the time this video's out. So yeah, Jeggz is stepping into the roster. Obviously, he's not a like-for-like swap with Nath, but we feel like it pushed us in the right direction to do what we want to do. Obviously, Nath was our IGL, so there's obviously big changes in the team. But me and George can step up in an IGL whenever. Also, Teb, got to give props to Teb because obviously not being having English as first language, he's very vocal and he's very good at communicating in the team. So we don't necessarily need a very vocal player, and we feel like Jeggz adding to what Skiddy's already doing is going to benefit us a lot.
So when you talk about pairings then and, mechanically gifted players, now you look at NaVi, you've got yourself, you've got Skiddy and what he's able to do, and you're adding Jeggz. And when you speak to most when I spoke to most players ahead of Challenger League about the player they were afraid of playing, it was Jeggz. He terrified players so much. I think, not necessarily the same as EFAC. There's a couple of differences in the way they play, but their stat lines were very similar at that level. Do you think that kind of trio of you three, and then you add on obviously George and Tab to the list as well, do you think that kind of really elevates your roster as a whole? Because you look at all the other teams at tier 1 at the top, they all have 2 or 3 big difference makers.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if we get like everyone shooting, then like who knows what could happen? With Jeggz and Skiddy on the front, like that's a very good front line to have. Obviously, Skiddy's shown what he can do at tier 1 level. 99 kills last stage, so adding Jeggz to that can only benefit us.
Yeah. And as much as it's a benefit for you, it's probably another sad day for 10-star fans who've seen, you've gone on the move, Savage has gone on the move, you've seen Jeggz move now as well, and kind of leaves Azur and Kenny as the last 2 standing from that roster that went all the way from UKIN 2 to the top of MPL. But what is it about 10-star that's just been so good at developing talent? I don't think there's, apart from like teams that have been picked up as a whole, as a full 5 by tier 1 rosters, and in the space of 1 year, the amount of players that have gone from 10-star to tier 1 is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the main thing is they're always careful with the pickups, as in like make sure it's a good vibe from the players. That's like the main thing. Like when I was on the roster anyway, I don't know if they still do it, but we always look for someone who, like, not necessarily a friend, but who do you enjoy coming into scrims, because that's what you got to do at the end of the day. Like, you got to enjoy what you do. You turn up, you scrim for like 6 hours, and then you go off, but you've got to enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, then you're not going to play at your best. They just get the best out of each other, and that's how good players come out of the team.
Yeah, and obviously I think most of the players coming to the team have been really well coached as well. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not going to talk about Kenny too much, because I think everybody in tier 3 and a lot of people in tier 2 and some in tier 1 know how good he is. Fresh is a big advocate for Kenny when you speak to him. So we're going to look forward then. So you've got your roster, and in about 2.5 weeks' time, you're going to take part in the closed quals for SI. And for you, I know this is massive, because as I said, you've gone from tier 3 to playing in a closed qualifier for SI in the space of a couple of months. How excited are you to play in those? Because when you look at the teams that are taking part, you've obviously got, that ex-Empire roster. You've got you guys, you've got Team Secret, and then you have makers who've been to SI themselves before in the past. What are your thoughts going into that weekend?
I think it's going to be fun. I'm just excited to play official games again, to be honest. I think all the teams are good in their own ways. Like, people sleep on those teams, like some of the teams in there. But they're definitely going to be exciting games and tough opponents.
Are you excited to play the ex-Empire roster now that it pretty much is ex-Empire? They've got pretty much the whole of the list there. Like, because obviously you play in comp, you look at those guys, you've seen them play in SI finals. Is it a game that you're kind of looking forward to play because at one point you're probably looking up to them?
Yeah, for sure. Like obviously they're the grand finalists last year, so I think it's gonna be the same for all teams, us, MKers and Secret. Like that tests us. That's gonna be like if we can beat them, then who knows what we can do. Um, so yeah, it'll be exciting for sure.
Is Teb excited to play against Emkers? Obviously, 5 Italians going up against him. I think, fun fact actually, Italy is the most represented region in the closed quals. There's 6 Italians, and
Yeah,
I think there's only 5 English players. So is Teb looking forward to that one?
yeah, he is. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. Obviously, it's always good to look forward to SI quals and to see who can make it. Obviously, Eminem did a miracle run last year, and Nate has obviously gone to join them. So as we look at SI and we kind of talk about the teams that have qualified already, are there any teams out there that you think are underrated going into SI? Everyone's going to talk about the likes of BDS. You know, Sonics are always going to be spoken about. W7M, the M80 team that were exit. But who's the kind of dark horses for you out of the teams that have qualified already?
I think Eminem will surprise some people with that roster move. Like, I think their roster's underrated anyway. Like, obviously they haven't proven what they can do on an international stage, and that's why. Like, there's obviously with reason they're not like rated going into international events. But I know how good that roster. I know how good all the players in that roster are, and I'm sure they can do something.
I think I have to agree with you because they were pretty much at every event this year. You know, they didn't
Yeah,
necessarily make it out to the playoff stage, but they were there. They were like wolves. They managed to go, and that's something that a lot of teams internationally weren't able to achieve. You know, you look at NA, they had a massive flux in the teams that qualified for every major event. LATAM as well. You know, you'd Liquid didn't qualify for one of the events, and then they went on to the major in Sweden and almost got there. As I said, I know
yeah,
a lot of people out there were hoping that Nesk and Palu could have got it done, but at the same time, BDS people are delighted to see Shaiko and Breeda and all them finally won theirs as well. When it comes to SI though, how much would it mean to you as a player in your first stage at this level to qualify for it? Because it is, the holy grail of Siege.
yeah. It would mean everything. Obviously, like that's the goal. Like to obviously it's obviously stepping stones. Obviously, you want to make a major, and then you want to build on that and go to SI.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're unfortunate to miss out on the major, but we're going in the right direction. Hopefully, we can call. But obviously, I'm not underestimating any teams because, like I said, they're good teams in the calls of us. Anyone can go through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see like a specific team. Oh, they're definitely going to go out, sort of thing. Like there has been previously. Um, so yeah, it's just two turns up on the day, really.
Yeah. And there's a couple of teams like yourselves as well that have made a lot of roster moves over the course of the last couple of stages. You know, NaVi has changed a lot over the last 12
Yeah.
months. So, with NaVi starting to get all the pieces together for the roster that you want and, getting some time to gel, how far do you think NaVi can go in 2023? Because, as said, the pickups that have been made by that org, I think most people would say have been fantastic.
Yeah, like I mean, if we keep going the way we're going, improving every day, who knows what we can do? Obviously, the goal is to qualify for events, and then we'll go from there. But obviously, like every region's very strong now, so like it's sort of got to the point where anyone can call for the events. It's just obviously who's on good form.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, who knows what could happen next year.
So here's the question I do have then. With Nate leaving so late in the year, as I said, there's only a couple of weeks now before the quals. How much of an impact do you think that's going to have on the team? Like, the timing isn't ideal, but
Hmm.
do you think there's enough time in those 2 weeks to really get down to it? And how much will that your relationship you already have with Jeggz help in integrating him to the team?
Oh, I think everyone's like, because obviously there's obvious role swaps in the team, but I think everyone's taken those roles really well. Obviously, we've only just had our first scrim with him, like as an actual player. We've obviously had trial scrims with him,
Mm-hmm.
but everything was like promising. Like we obviously didn't, we scrimmed good teams, uh, got good results, and it's looking good. We just need to keep improving every day. Obviously, improvements to be made. It's just how quick we make those improvements. But yeah, if we make those improvements, I'm sure we'll give it a good shot at qualifying for SI.
Yeah. So now the fun part. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about your opinion on some things, and it's something I've done in some of the other interviews. There was rumors, or there wasn't rumors. There was supposed to be a Siege World Cup, scheduled a couple of years ago. It didn't go ahead, and I was kind of talking. Even if we didn't have a World Cup, it would be really cool to have like a Siege Euros, because you could run it, because you could do it remotes. Everybody, all the players can play group stages from home. If there was a Team GB or Team England, and say, for example, you're on the team and you were to pick your 4 teammates that you would love to play on Team England with you, who would they be?
I guess I've got to pick Jord with me. I'll go with. I got to pick my teammates. I got to pick Jord.
Well, right.
I got to pick Skiddy.
This is what I did for Brie. This is what I did for EFAC, because obviously he's French and he's going to want to take his whole team.
Yeah.
You're allowed 1 player from NaVi. Because actually, no, it's That's not fair. Because there's only 2. Because there's only 2 English players along with you, it would be cruel to make you choose between the 2. Because then there'll be it'll be a little bit of crack.
I reckon I could do it.
Okay.
No, I'll pick the one
NaVi player.
All right, I'll go with Jord, because he's like I play sport with him anyway. I think that'll be good for me to just have him there. As a flex player, it has to be Josh Jesus.
Yeah,
he has to be in there. And this could literally be anyone. There's so many good fraggers from the UK.
Yeah,
you've got to. I think you got to pick Citizen for what he's done. And at least one more. You know what? Just got. Is it GB or is it just England?
We'll go GB.
I'll put Doki in then, because he's a first entry. He can just go shoot people.
There you go. I like it. I know. The thing is, there's a lot of talent in the UK. Players that didn't make the cut. You got the likes of Leon Gibson there. There's some. There's some very.
No, you could make 2 teams and they could beat each other. Like you got pairs like Tyrant, Leon Gibson, like you said. Like even Azza from T2. Like you've got like very good players. Nath, obviously. Yeah, you could make a second team and they could beat that team. So.
Yeah. So then, a little bit of advice, I suppose. I want to get your advice for maybe people watching. For tier 3 players, making the jump to tier 1 is the goal for them all. Some player, or for most players, actually winning SI and winning majors is where they want to be. When you're in tier 3, you're going to get trials. You're going to get the opportunity to play with some of these teams when they're picking up players. How important do you think it is for tier 3 players to properly weigh up their options? Because there will be offers that people might get, and they'll be tempted to take it because it's the only offer on the table. But do you think it's important to really evaluate the options that you do have and what it could be long term? Or do you think that a player should grasp for the first opportunity they get and build a name from there?
Should definitely evaluate your options. Like taking your time with things, making sure it's right for you is the most important thing, because you don't want to ruin anything like for yourself as a player. Like I said, like for me, it's all vibes. Like the main focus is firstly enjoying playing with people on my team, and then obviously everything else comes after that. Yeah. For me.
I think you're bang on, because you see occasions as well where players are moving to tier 1 and they're asked to take up even a different role, one that they're not used to, and if it's the only offer you have on the table and you take that and it doesn't work out, you could be waiting a while before you get the next opportunity again. So
yeah, exactly.
Couple of little questions now. I want to get some fun as well. Biggest joker you've ever played with?
Nath.
Nath? Yeah?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Who's the most serious player you've ever played with? All work, no play type.
Yonka.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that was because of people we had on the team, like, just joking about, and he had to be the guy to put people in line, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Best player you've ever played with?
can't do that to me.
You know.
Oh, we'll just go with Skiddy because he's the top rated player in EUL right now for
Okay.
us.
And I suppose last but not least, what player do you trust most out of everybody you've ever played with? So, you know, you're in that 2v2 scenario. Who's the player you want riding shotgun with you to try one out the round?
I'll probably say Jord Kayak.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. I like it. So that kind of brings us to the end. Is there anything you want to say to any of the NaVi fans out there ahead of the close quals, whether it be about Jeggz, whether it be about the new roster, or even just anything general you'd like to put out there?
It might take some time, but the end goal, like when we get to our best, like it'll be worth it. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, look, Leadr, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. You know that I rate you so highly, especially having been able to follow your career from where it started to now. Keep doing what you're doing. As I said, I think 2023 and the way that the game has changed, it suits your playstyle, I think, to perfection. We can expect bigger and better things. If you haven't already, guys, make sure to give Leadr a follow on his socials. You know, get those numbers up so we can get a couple of sponsorships, get a bit more money. You know?
Yeah, they're looking quite low right now, so
players
get those up.
You know, players. It's nice to get a couple of pounds. Actually, one last question: if you left NaVi and you had offers to go to a different region, would that be something you'd ever be interested in? Would you like to play in NA, LATAM, or APAC, or one of the new APAC regions that we split to?
I've got some friends in NA, so I would think about going to NA maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be too bad. Wouldn't be too bad. Well, look, thank you, Leadr. Like I said, give him a follow on your socials if you haven't already. Next episode will be released in the next few days as well. This one will be out on Thursday. I don't think there'll be another episode then until maybe Monday or Tuesday because I'm going to be traveling for a few days. But as always, thanks for the support. Give the channel a like, and I'm sure the two of us will see you all very